Alright, so I'm teaching a drawing class right now, and I have some students who were interested in starting with drawing, okay? And the big thing when you start with drawing is it's not about drawing the absolute perfect lines and perfect shapes, okay? Um, Everyone expects to be able to draw, a human figure right off the bottom of the rung. They expect to go, oh, well, I know that if I take and start with drawing my general shapes, I'm going to get a figure, okay? And the problem is they want to start drawing those lines of a general shape and come up with a figure automatically, okay? And it's not going to happen. Okay, drawing a figure takes, practice, practice, practice. Okay, so, the initial start, most people try and draw these complex shapes like that. And you have to realize that drawing is about a couple of things. The first thing is drawing is about basic shapes. Okay, now with drawing as basic shapes, the first thing I'm going to tell you guys is that if I'm going to draw something, it's going to be a couple different shapes. First, it's going to be a line. That's it. It's going to be basically how that line goes. Now, if I look at that line and go, okay, I'm going to draw this line. Now, try and replicate that line. Okay, try and continuously make that one line the same thing as the next. Okay, repetition is a great exercise. The other thing is look at that line. How does that line generally go? Do you have like so? Is there an arc here? Is there an arc here? Is there an arc here? Match those lines, all right? Take a look at your repeat lines. Are you matching the angles? That's a key point in learning how to draw. And it doesn't have to be anything special, it's just basically being able to find the angles, being able to match that line with the stroke of your pencil or pen or whatever you're using. Okay, the next thing is, basically starting out with your basic shapes. The first basic shape is a square or a rectangle. Okay, start by drawing the rectangles out, all right? And, no one ever does the square or the rectangle perfect when drawing. And if they do, they practice it 1,000 different ways, and that's fine. Practice, practice, practice. Drawing squares basically comes in handy when you do perspective. Okay, drawing that perspective, and perspective is something I'll get into in another tutorial for you guys. But drawing perspective is just basically drawing three squares that are skewed on top of each other. Okay, but for the initial function of that, take a look at it. What is that shape? That shape is nothing more than a box. Okay, then you want to learn to be able to draw a cone. Okay, cones are nothing more than a pointy cylinder. Okay, but the big thing about that is drawing this part right here, drawing that ellipse. Okay, ellipses are very, very big when you're drawing all types of figures and stuff like that. All right, make sure your ellipse are nice and perfect. See, in a lot of these ain't perfect, and you're not going to get that perfect ellipse. But you have to understand what's wrong with that ellipse. Okay, it's a little bit heavy over here, so let's move that up. Okay, and that's basically what this is all about. Okay, so work on drawing ellipses. Ellipses are used quite a bit. You can use an ellipse to make a cylinder. Ooh, that one was horrible. You can use an ellipse to draw a cylinder. You can use an ellipse to, pretty much draw anything you want. I don't know, depending on what you're going to do. So squares, ellipses, and cones and circles. Circles is then the next one that you guys want to pay attention to. Drawing circles, you know, it takes practice, and I've been drawing for years and years, and you get the basic shape, but for the most part, you're not going to get a perfect circle. I mean, they have perfect circle competitions in Las Vegas, so if you get good enough, go there. But for the most part, learning how to draw a circle and learning what that circle is your basic shape. Okay. Now, drawing circles, squares, how does this relate to actual drawing? Well, take a look at your still life. Okay, let me just zoom out a little bit. So I've taken a picture of a still life. It's nothing more than a cup, some garlic cloves, a candle, and some backgrounds. So by looking at this, what is your basic shapes? You have an ellipse for the plate. Okay, you have a cylinder here. All right, that's basically your cylinder. Okay, then you have your garlic, which is nothing more than a circle. You've got a regular circle here. You've got another piece of garlic here. You've got a coffee cup here, which is nothing more than a cylinder. Okay. Now, when I drew this, does it look right? That's when you need to measure spacing. Okay. Is the plate big enough? Let's take a look at this plate. Does the plate need to be bigger? Okay. Does the inside of this plate basically creates another small ellipse? Where does this candle in relationship, to this plate go? So the candle actually moves over a bit. Okay. Then my ellipse goes up there. Now, where is this garlic in relationship? If I look, it's about halfway. So, halfway is basically what I need to draw that, ellipse. Where does this circle fall on that plate? How high up does that circle go? Well, if I look at the garlic has a little stem up here like so, but this, and I'm going to change color here, this right here is basically the aspect of the relationship to it. Okay, so is that ball big enough? Is that ball small enough? Well, it might need to be a little bit smaller. Okay, then the relationship of, okay, where does this next clove of garlic fit? All right, then the relationship of where the cup lies. Okay, the cup is a little bit taller than about halfway, so that means this is a little bit small, so I need to up this. That's what I'm talking about, finding the relationships. So all I'm doing is using those circles, squares, and triangles to build up my drawing. Okay, and that's the first step I would say that anybody needs to take if they want to learn how to start drawing, is just seeing the basic shapes. If I take a look, they want to draw human figures and such like that, then to be honest with you, if I look at a human figure, what is a human figure? A human figure is the basic shapes, finding the angles and the lines. So I take a look at this figure here, and I'm going to start out with angles. Okay, hip comes down here like so. This comes up here, so like so. This comes over here, comes down, and then it basically is I've got an ellipse down here, and then it comes up. Okay, we've got circles for the breasts, and this one sticks out a little bit. So this is basically my basic shapes. Okay, angles. You see those hard angles that you're finding. Okay, that's what you need to look for. All right, this is basically what you're looking at is when you draw this is those basic shapes. Okay, now even further than this, block it out. What is that box? That looks like a box right there. Okay, the circles for the breasts. And this is pretty much a box here too, okay? And it's, you're looking at those basic shapes. Then you whittle down the basic shapes. Same thing with this. You're measuring basic shapes. My basic shape is that of a box. So there's the front of the face goes back into space, and then here is the back of this face. And then I have basically a box, which is a little bit skewed here, for the back. Okay, and then you take a look at this and you can start measuring your angles. Okay, well, the head angles up a little bit more and comes back down a little bit more and comes back. So I'm sculpting outside of this box. Okay, I have a little bit of a indent here where the nose comes out. You have this type of for the base of the nose. You're basically just looking for those physical shapes. And then as you do it, you're cutting in proportions and looking at, the eyes. Where did the eyes go? What are the eyes? The eyes are basically a circle. So if you can build in like that, you're basically building in form and structure. Okay? Taking a look at this, I'm basically building out this kind of form and shape. Okay? And that's basically all you do when you start drawing is you look for those basic shapes. Everything after that comes with practice and refinement. So for the initial start, you want to just create basic shapes. And then we're going to start in form. So my next demonstration will be form.